think, as you rightly said, if the leaders in the organization are aligned on the core objectives and goals that they have for themselves, for their teams, and for the customers, and you build autonomous systems as opposed to approval loops. Process is good, but process cannot be bottleneck. Build systems that are self-learning, build a culture that's self-learning, but aligned on the objectives, aligned on the speed. Everybody, a lot of times people don't understand the risks that they share. Align on the risks, have a risk list. And more importantly, also have a no list. And that really helps teams going.
Ultimately, the goal isn't more governance, right? It's fewer ambiguous decisions, clear ownership and observable controls. They tend to reduce the number of times that you as the leader have to be the risk processor, right? You got to teach other people to do these things. So you've argued that governance can be an accelerator. What does good enough AI governance look like in practice, specifically enough that a CTO could implement it without being the Yoshi?
Oh, that's what we do day in, day out. I'll give you an example of ourselves, and we're our customers' data. So we eat our own dog food. We start with understanding our data maturity. Before that, I can get into AI preparedness and AI training so that we know our teams at least are at a stage that they need to be from the training perspective that they can start using AI. But let's say we've gone through that. It's really then understanding about your data estate, where it is, the maturity, the ownership, and the quality. And you need to have a really good governance in place. Again, there are great tools now, and it's not that complicated once you have clarity there. Right? Then you have your own AI risks that you need to address. But more importantly, as you start building AI agents or AI applications, make sure that you have some type of a steering committee, not to slow you down, but collaborative steering committee that is able to not oversee and not to approve, but to really observe and then start making modifications. But having that architecture, having the security architecture, data architecture, cloud architecture to support your AI adoption is step one. And that's where you spend a lot of time in governance first.
So what should be measured continuously so that trust doesn't rely on periodic reviews?
We, of course, everything that happens in the AI world, you have to continuously monitor and check for data security issues. And we continuously look, and we have, because we also have a cybersecurity expertise and we have cybersecurity teams, we monitor AI agent as if it's a human being. Okay. And we have an identity. So this is where this is a continuous process. All of our checkpoints that we establish through data, through security, and through governance, they're continuous processes. But unlike before, they are not going through approvals. They're not going through, they're automatically, seamlessly happening. And the governance you need is coming and checking as humans to say, hey, is everything going the way it's supposed to? Let me look at why and what's really happening. And then saying, okay, this is going the way it's supposed to. No, it's not. We're missing a whole bunch. We missed this entire data set and we haven't classified or labeled that. So that's what your governance will need to do.
So where do companies over-engineer compliance and where do they dangerously underinvest? And how should a CTO decide the difference?
That's a great question, Mike. I personally believe that compliance is the result of a really good security hygiene. That's how it should be. If you follow good security practices, you are, most of the time compliant. Then it is really about checking the check boxes for specific compliance. People typically don't take that approach of saying, we're going to take security as a foundation and have the good practice, and then we will measure the compliance continuously. They go from, okay, we need to make compliance a thing and come from compliance angle and see what needs to be done. And that's when, in my opinion, things will start going wrong. It will be too expensive. Once you're trying to only do it because you're compliant, you're missing the boat. They have to think beyond compliance. Sometimes compliance really cover you from security perspective. Don't think just because you're compliant for a regulation, you are covered from security perspective and risk perspective. No, just because you're compliant on a regulation doesn't mean that you're secure.
Yeah, you mentioned checkboxes, and I know what you mean by that. But what's the simplest decision rule that you use to avoid checkbox governance?
Most of our engagements start with the security best practices and go from there to say, okay, even if it is for our clients or even if it is for ourselves, we look at it from that perspective, zero trust, security as a core foundation, and then see where are the gaps between their security foundation, the compliance, and how does it not become a checkbox exercise? It becomes checkbox because every compliance document is a checkbox end of the day. But it doesn't feel like it's checkbox exercise. It's more, okay, you are doing a review and thorough validation. That's what it looks like. Now, of course, we're leveraging AI agents to do that too, because the potential of AI, how AI can really help in compliance management. And it really can, because now there are tools that can automatically look at your entire security controls, security risks, and say, this is where you are not compliant and this is where you're compliant. So there's definitely a way to turn this into a better process than manually going through a checkbox exercise.
So, what's one area that you personally won't compromise on, even if the business pushes for speed?
For us, honestly speaking, it's our integrity, meaning our ability to take a security risk. We will not compromise on short cutting security practices just because someone is willing to pay. Let's say if someone comes and says, deliver something today, forget about security, we won't do it.